Right, so a couple of faces you might recognise from recently up at Preston New Road. We've got Eddie and Joe. Thank you for chatting to us. We're here at Kirby Misberton camp, which has grown a lot since we were here last. If I could just ask you, first of all, Eddie, why did you decide to go over to Preston New Road to do an action?
I had two reasons really. The first one was because I've been watching with increasing frustration at the level of direct action over there in Lancashire, and I thought it needed a little push.
Yeah.
And I hoped that if we went over there and did a big direct action, that it might inspire other people in Lancashire to get more creative. I know it's still a long way down the road before the drilling equipment comes on that site, but it's important to stop this industry at every level. So pad building is a target, roads are a target, and they should all be engaged. And my other reason was for the people of Yorkshire as well, because we're next. Like, the lorries are going to be coming down this road soon, and we're going to have to stop them. And I wanted to show my community that direct action isn't scary. I spent 9 hours on that lock-on. I was treated fine by the police, and then I spent another probably 9 hours in the cells, and I was treated fine there too. I want to take the fear out of it, so everybody will engage.
Okay, Joe?
Yeah, pretty much the same really. It's yeah, the police were fine with me. You know, there was a little bit of an incident with the public order. The team came in and we were locked on tubes, and there was wood underneath to balance our arms and stuff, and they just knocked us straight over. Like, but apart from that, apart from the public order team, the police were fine. You know, they were they're on side. The police are on side. A lot of people in the police force, they don't want the industry neither. It's you know, they're caught in this situation where they got to, you know, they're getting orders to do a job, and it's not very nice. You know, we've got the easy job. The police have got the hard job. You know, but yeah, I mean, for me, you know, I'm a veteran really in the anti-fracking movements, and I had no intentions of doing an action. I just came over here for a break really, just to have a bit of time out and do a bit of helping on the camp building.
So it was quite a random thing.
Quite a random thing. It was, you know, it was a talk between a lot of people about a suggestion of maybe we should do something. Like Eddie's just said, you know, solidarity from here is just one of them, but there was other things as well.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, why not? You know, why not? Let's go over and inspire the people of Lancashire. But you know, it was only the week before we were seeing drone footage coming from there, which was showing that, you know, the site starting to come along, the roads going into tarmac in the fronts and stuff like that, and there'd been no resistance at all. You know, because for me, 15-minute lorry walks on the road, which was agreed to, it's not agreed to by me, and it doesn't have any effect of stopping the industry. The industry just work around it. They just put their brakes around that 15 minutes or whatever it may be. So it doesn't have any impact. And the only way to stop this industry is to stop it at every single level. You know, people are sitting at home doing petitions and, you know, objections to planning applications and stuff like that. It's all part of it. Yeah. But that part of it's been, you know, it's run its course now. There's no further to go, and so the only way now left is direct action. And so, you know, if we can inspire people, and I believe the action is brought the whole national anti-fracking communities, groups, local groups, you know, together. You know, where maybe there was a bit of fragmented before that, and now they realise, well, you know, this is how we've got to do it. And if people are in Surrey, or people are in Sussex, or people are in Yorkshire, or people are in the Midlands or whatever, they can now say to themselves, well, you know what, I want a bit of that, and they can just organise as a little group well away from wherever, who might never have met these people, and they just turn up and say, we're having our action. And for me, it was just, I always said to myself, because I'm from the northwest obviously, and I always knew that Preston New Road was their main target, you know, because of Horizon 2020 and stuff like that. That was what all the funding from the EU was for and stuff like that. And so that was always been a target to have a one-day action for me. I've always said I'm going to have my one-day protest, and that's all I seen it as, because if everyone just stood up for one day and said, I'm going to go there and show my disapproval to this industry because democracy has failed, then the industry can't get a foothold in the UK. It's just it's as simple as that. You know, it's nothing to complicate it. It's, you know, everyone can spare a few hours of their lifetime for their grandchildren and their children.
Can I just ask you, what are your feelings on groups having any kind of negotiations with industry regarding how we can protest, or what they would like us to do as regard protesting?
I think it's really dangerous. And what we've seen at Preston is that the police say they are facilitating peaceful protest within that 15-minute agreed space. So that anything outside of that, like we've had a couple of people walking the lorries and stuff, you'll get arrested. And the police defence in court could be that, well, we've made an agreement, we are facilitating peaceful protest, and it's happening within these 15 minutes. So I would call on the whole anti-fracking community to, if you don't want to disengage completely with the liaison officers and the industry, just don't make any kind of agreements that are going to affect all of us. You know, this is an organic movement. People have to be free to stand up to it as they see fit. And if anybody's making unilateral agreements, we're all going to end up in a load of bother.
Well, the action is always worth doing for your own self. You know, for your own consciousness. You know, if you feel you need to act and you've got a moral duty and obligation to act, then regardless of whether it makes any difference or not, it makes a difference to you, and that's all that matters, about empowering yourself and you being the best person that you can be. And if as it seems we're going into an authoritarian state, you know, along with the US and a lot of the Western democracies, you know, because of the hegemony changing towards China and things like that, then it's even more critical that the people stand up, you know, and take back some sort of democracy, which is pretty much non-existent right now.
Yeah. Do you think that people get tied up in the system where they think they can't afford to take time off because of the commitments to the mortgages, to family life, to work? A lot of people can't do that. Do you think that is something which is a problem?
It is. I mean, everybody's working a long-houred week because they have to pay the mortgage. You know, your kids are in childcare and you're worried because you're 3 months away from having no money in the bank. But you know, this kind of community coming together is really empowering, and it doesn't have to be around direct action to begin with. You can start a community garden if you wanted. Just knock on your neighbour's door and introduce yourself, because it's when we know each other, when we feel this bond of community, then we can feel empowered to go out and take steps. And regarding the Dakota Access story, these heavy-handed police methods, these tactics of militarized police coming in and shooting unarmed, prayerful people with bullets and with rubber bullets and mace, it's had the opposite effect that they wanted it to, because that campaign has got global attention and thousands of people joined it. So heavy-handed policing and state brutality, it is a concern, and it will hurt, but it won't squash the movement, and it will actually have the opposite effect of growing it. And if we see that here in the UK too, I have no doubt that our movement will grow as well.
Okay, lovely. Well, thank you very much indeed for talking to me and for what you did. Could you perhaps finish with just a word for everybody else who's out there, because we've got a hell of a lot going on down the south at the moment, which they're saying is not fracking, but it's equally as dangerous and equally as devastating, because they're looking at 1,500 square miles of the Weald as being fair game.
Yep, solidarity with every campaign against this issue. You know, unconventional resources. It's you know, anyone who stands up empowers someone else, and so, you know, everyone, whether it's in Brockham, whether it's Woolston, whether it's Preston New Roads, you know, this here at Kirby Miss Burton Protection Camp, Leaf Hill, you know, and all the campaigns in the past. You know, we're all fighting the same cause, and the solidarity in this movement with the frontline activists and frontline people who are in the communities doing a lot of work behind the scenes that we don't see, we don't even hear of them, because they're just into planning applications and stuff like that, and they're challenging whether it's, freedom of information requests, and it's taken over a lot of people's lives. There's a lot of people fighting and they don't get the credit for it, but for us on the front line and doing actions, it's equal solidarity all round from me.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, and I would say, look, just give it a shot. Get together with some people that you can trust, plan an action. I mean, this was my first action, and I call myself an accidental activist because I never planned to get into this. I've just seen that it's necessary. So I'd say more like power to you. Get together with your mates, have a laugh with it as well, because it can be good fun as well. And just plan something and give it a shot. It's not scary to be in those cells. They have a duty of care to you, and they will treat you with respect. Get yourself a good solicitor and make sure his number's on your arm or her number's on your arm when you go in, and just give it a shot. Even if you're just locked in or whatever for a couple of hours, you've done your bit, and you'll get this kind of chain reaction after you of people who will be inspired to do it as well.
It's critical that we make sure we get the support for them people when they're in custody. So there's big support outside, and make them feel like they're not just doing it isolated. It's part of a big picture, and they deserve all the credit they get when they do it. So we've got the networks there throughout the country to support and say, we need people there close by, get down there, support them. And as Eddie, go back to what Eddie said before about community, it brings the community side into it. Then we start talking, breaking down barriers of, from different classes and stuff like that, where people are then standing together talking and realising that all this political and media discourse of like anti-fracking campaign is all wrong. It's people from all classes. I've sat in leafy Sussex, around the table with like international wine tastes for the Times and stuff like that, and I've come from the suburbs of Liverpool, and them boundaries could not be broken without this campaign, because one thing that we all know is that water is life.
Thank you, guys. Wonderful.
Welcome, mate.